future, the greatest threat to our survival will not be man at all.
Hey, kid, what's going on? War! We're going to war!
Now the youth of tomorrow must travel across the stars to defend our world.
We are a generation commanded by fate to defend humankind.
Everyone fights, no one quits.
We are going in with first wave. You smash the entire area. You kill anything that has more than 2 legs. You get me? We get you, sir.
But they will face an enemy more devastating than any ever imagined.
Trap for us, didn't they?
TriStar Pictures takes you to the front lines of the next frontier.
Kill them all!
Starship Troopers.
Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, listeners. I love this movie.
We're back talking some Verhoeven. He's like a bug that you just can't kill on this
oh, my
podcast.
Goodness. And man. Everybody out there listening, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott, and these are the movies that made us gay.
Yay.
So, do another Paul Verhoeven movie. This is number 3.
Yes, indeed. Paul Verhoeven, I mean, that European SOB.
Yeah. I love talking about him, though.
Yes, indeed. Interesting point of view, but there's a lot to unpack here. Let's talk about, Scott, what movie we watched and introduce our guests.
We had our friend Matthew Farris on to talk about Starship Troopers, released November 7th, 1997.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Welcome to the show.
Welcome
I was
to the
so
show.
happy when you messaged us about what movies to do that you wanted to do Starship Troopers, because I've been wanting to do this movie for a while on the show.
Yeah, there's, like I said, there's a lot to unpack. This, on the surface of this movie, you might not think that this would fit our theme, but we're going to talk about why it does.
Absolutely.
We like to talk about at the top of the show what kind of brought us to Starship Troopers. Unless, Scott, did you have some factoids that you wanted to drop right now, or should we talk about what brought us to Starship Troopers?
We can start with that.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Matthew, you're a guest. Why don't you talk about how you were introduced to this movie and why you enjoy it to this day?
Yeah, of course. So my attachment, first and foremost, to films and entertainment started when I was fairly young, thanks to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad worked a lot, and I barely got to see him during the week. But on weekends, he would take the time to spend with me, and our favorite thing to do would be, Friday nights going to Blockbuster or the local video store and picking up movies. Or Saturday we would go see new movies. And it was like the time that I really got to spend with my father. But he had a penchant for action and science fiction and military films because he was in the military for 33 years.
Oh, wow.
So the Sci-Fi Channel was always on in our house. And I'm more of a Disney Channel, Nickelodeon kid. But I am a daddy's boy. So in order for me to spend time with my dad, I would sit down and watch sci-fi. So therefore, I was introduced to the wonderful worlds of Battlestar Galactica, Andromeda, Firefly, Doctor Who. My dad just introduced me to all of those things. But I think how I first came to – actually, I know how I first came to Starship Troopers is on one of our weekly nights going to the video store. My dad picked up this movie and he showed me, and he was like – I was 8 years old, and he's like, "You're going to love this movie. It has bugs, aliens, and guns." And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Sure, Dad.
Right. And I remember I was more excited to watch the film because my dad was excited.
Right.
He had already seen the movie, so clearly for him being excited to watch it again was something that was really big for me. And I just remember we went home and I was glued in front of the TV like Carol Ann from the Poltergeist, like just sitting there, just watching. I was in love.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just remember watching these battles being fought in space using satire. There were these badass characters, both male and female. And, you know, the action adventure was there to be able to tell the tale of Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's like I had no idea that watching that movie for the first time, albeit I was terrified because those bugs are, I mean, I'm 8 years old.
Yeah.
And those bugs were terrifying.
Yeah.
But I had no idea that I would be watching a film that would end up becoming one of my favorite movies to this day. My imagination was lit, and honestly, my queer uprising started from that moment.
The future of co-ed showers.
Yes, exactly.
My goodness.
Which never came to fruition for me, by the
No,
way.
not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Time will tell.
Right.
I mean, I do love a good open gym shower, but not anything like this movie. So I remember renting this movie with my cousins. And I want to say that it was during a family holiday. I cannot remember what it was because this came out November of 97. And I remember all of us just sitting in my grandparents' living room.
How old were you?
I was probably like 12.
Okay.
And I remember when the co-ed shower scene came on, it blew my 12-year-old mind.
Right.
And I just remember my cousins just laughing at it and just thinking that this movie is just too much. So I think that my cousins even sort of got the satire of this movie, even if they couldn't have put into words like why it was satire.
Right.
But I could tell that they immediately got it. And I remember just watching this movie just being like, like this movie is wild.
It's so funny that you say that your cousins got the satire, because I wholeheartedly believe that a lot of people did not get the satire of the film, and it was almost like this film was intended to be misunderstood.
Sure.
Oh yeah. I'm a little bit older, so I was just starting out college, and I saw this movie with my buddies Jose and Matt. And shout out!
Did you see it in the theater?
No, I actually didn't see it in the theater. They had both seen it, and they were like, "We got to watch Starship Troopers. It's great." So I sat down and watched it, and I was like, I hadn't seen Showgirls. Had it even come out yet? This is after
Showgirls is
right?
95. I mean, we can talk a little bit about that later.
95?
Yeah, because I mean, the thing is that this movie was greenlit and everything was taken care of financially as they were wrapping up Showgirls.
Yeah.
So when Showgirls tanked the box office, like Starship Troopers was already happening. Like they were already
Right in the middle of it.
in pre-production of that movie.
Gotcha.
So none of sort of the shortcomings of Showgirls really affected this movie. Maybe a little bit in its marketing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My friends who introduced me to it were, big fans of sci-fi and action movies. We were, 18, 19 years old, and they kind of got it. They were like, it's satirical, the weird, imagery that you're going to see, the propaganda like stuff. And they prepped me for it going in. So I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I love, Matthew, that you mentioned like the Sci-Fi Channel and like those crazy 90s Sci-Fi Channel TV shows.
Yes.
Like Andromeda and like, and even like Firefly and things like that, that they did kind of introduce this idea of like men and women kind of working together in military settings, in these sci-fi settings. A lot of them are not produced in the United States. So maybe that had something to do with it. A lot of them are out from New Zealand, whatever. But yeah, it definitely has that feel of those kind of old TV shows. But yeah, I remember liking it right off the bat. I think that we always talk about that co-ed shower scene. I mean,
but if we're being honest, I think it really started from the moment that Casper graced us with, you know what I mean?
These faces, and we're going to have to talk about this a little bit more in depth. And this is on purpose. The people cast in this movie, they all look like mannequins.
Casper Van Dien is just like this beautiful Aryan.
Casper Van Dien and Denise
Man.
Richards, when those two faces are on the screen at the same time, it's like, what the hell?
When Denise is introduced in profile and you just get that cute little Denise nose.
Is it cute? I mean, it's just so teeny. It's so and that little point. But the idea is that the two of them look like, yeah, like mannequins come to life.
Like,
or like
captain of the football team and the girl next door.
Right, yeah. And, everybody else in the movie, too, like Dina Meyer is beautiful. Right?
Yeah.
All the men in the movie are tall, super tall. You've got Jake Busey. You've got the big hulking guy that gets his face blown off. Right. But it's cast with these specimens of like humans. And
then where does MPH fit in?
I mean, I guess
True.
it would have been. I guess for
He was a little wiry.
NPH, it would have just been the novelty of Doogie Howser's in this movie.
Correct, right.
So I guess
might have
that would have been sort of the angle of casting him as
Right.
the smart kid.
Right. But, the idea is, and we're talking about the satire behind this movie, and for listeners, if you're not familiar with it, it is filled with this like propaganda-ish imagery, and the military is dressed in a kind of
Reich.
fascist
Yes.
style, not even kind of like directly,
Quite literally. Yeah.
literal imagery there. And Verhoeven has said that he cast these people with the idea that this is a utopian fascist society of the future. So these are kind of like, for lack of a better term, like perfect specimen.
So my question to that, though, is, were there no people of color in this utopian world that Paul had envisioned?
You get their one black friend that then has to leave.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
she get
Yes.
There is there's one character.
That's like the equation of seeing that one black person in Greece for a split second.
I don't even remember
in the finale.
I don't even remember the black person in Greece.
dancing around in the
Correct.
carnival. Okay, there's got to be one in there. You're right. That is a valid point, and it's supposed to be this fascist utopia, but that's on purpose. So I think also he's kind of pulling from the source material, which is Robert Heinlein book, and the book is well loved, but it's also highly criticized,
Right.
For
that
its
it's overly pro-fascist. Like there's not really any irony or satire in the book like there is in the movie.
I think I read somewhere that Paul didn't even make it through the first chapter.
I have the quote. I stopped after 2 chapters because it was boring. It was quite a bad book. I asked the screenwriter to tell me the story because I couldn't read the whole thing. It's a very right-winged book. And the screenwriter also collaborated with him on RoboCop.
Okay.
Another movie that is a very interesting rewatch in 2021.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but again, RoboCop is another kind of satirical take on like a tyrannical government and a police state and that kind of thing. So Verhoeven's outlook on politics and military and all that, it's kind of bleak, but he's trying to give it kind of a humorous edge to, I don't know, maybe take the edge off of it somehow.
Right.
But I don't know if I'm smart enough to go into what his
How
main
familiar
goal is.
are you with a lot of his movies that he made in Europe before he came to America?
Not very familiar.
So,
I did watch the one you sent me.
I've only seen Turkish Delight with Rutger Hauer, and that's an interesting movie. You see everything, every bit of skin of Rutger Hauer in that movie.
Absolutely.
And it's one of those things that he was making these crazy movies in Europe, and he was pretty much just exiled to Hollywood. That even like Europe couldn't even handle him.
Which
is
is
like, go make
crazy.
movies
Yeah.
in Los Angeles and Hollywood.
Right.
Like we can't even we can't even handle you anymore.
Well, one of the big kind of statements that he's making with this movie is that in the United States there's a big hang up with nudity and sexuality that we don't have with violence. So, we're okay with, and one of his points is, I can get away with showing dead bodies sprawled all over the floor, people being cut in half, limbs being ripped off, but the minute a woman takes her shirt off, it is like the most outrageous thing in this movie.
Right. The rating goes up intensely.
Yes, exactly. So that's his point when he's going for, this co-ed shower scene. That's his point when there are these propaganda videos peppered throughout the movie where certain things are censored in the propaganda video for comedy, but then immediately afterwards we see these dead bodies all over the floor.
Like that, like the opening scene of the movie itself being the newscast, and we're seeing what's getting ready to happen. That was one of the draws to the movie for me. I really did like the propaganda, at least the way that they presented the propaganda to us in the movie. Because I didn't know if it was meant for me to be watching something on TV or if I was online.
Sure.
But I just know that it appealed to me, and that was really great.
Yeah. Do you want to know more?
Right. Click here.
Yeah, and he did that in RoboCop. There were commercials for like television shows that were like crazy over the top. He did it in
RoboCop. It's almost sort of predicting how cable news would unfold.
Yeah,
where violence is sort of seen as entertainment too.
Right. And it's in Total Recall. The same kind of thing. And I remember as a kid, I was a lot, Total Recall's a little bit older. So I remember watching Total Recall and thinking, they would do this thing where they would show, he'd be watching the news and there'd be like violent outbreak, on Mars, on this Mars colony. And, there's a shooting and they would show like dead bodies and stuff. And it's the news. And the idea is that that's so outrageous that they're showing it on the news. And even as a little kid, I'm thinking, wow, that's like, this is the future. And that's what the future of TV is going to be like. So one of these days, ratings are going to go out the window. But I feel like even as a kid, I kind of got that.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe there's something about the way Verhoeven kind of directs these particular scenes that are supposed to be of television or news that kind of keys in to kids that we kind of understand. Because, kids watch a lot of TV.
Absolutely. It's so funny that you say that because, back when the movie came out, Roger Ebert pretty much said that it was like a glorified violent film for kids. Yeah. And I was like, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Roger Ebert, and also the rest of kind of his colleagues just taking the movie so literally. I remember when I first moved to Los Angeles, I worked at a advertising agency that cut movie trailers. And the guy that sort of ran it had been around for years, cut some huge movie trailers like Jurassic Park. He worked on that, just like these super iconic trailers. And he said that they worked on Starship Troopers. And he told the story of talking to the studio heads for advertising about this movie, and he said they clearly did not get it at all. That they were just like, sell this as just an Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie.
Interesting.
And
sci-fi war movie.
My boss just being like, but you really don't see what he's doing here, do you? And just the studio just not getting it at all.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting, too, because it's hard to tell if it's because of the age of the movie, maybe budget, or if this is just Verhoeven. But the way it looks, it is a war movie set in outer space, and they're fighting these bugs. But it's very bright. It's like it's very well lit,
right?
And it's not realistic in that sense,
right?
And I don't know if that's something that maybe that's another thing that kids key into, that it is kind of a little bit more bright, a little bit more television looking, and that might be a reason why, as younger people, we were just like, yeah, I can get into this movie. These bugs are ripping people in half, because all the scenes, at like these academies that they're in, the weird. I guess it's a high school.
Well, they did. Yeah, they graduated. Yeah,
even though they're all like 30.
Right. I what's so funny is I say Troopers is like Degrassi in space.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very much teen soap, young adult fiction.
Yeah.
And I think that was really a driving force.
Yeah.
In that film for me was, everyone's relationships and connection. This was a group of friends. To say, and the relationships between everybody is what really drove that movie for me.
Yeah, I do love the early scenes in the movie before they go off into space. Those are really they're well done scenes, and it like getting to know their dynamic together as friends. Yeah, I like all that stuff. Yeah, you're right. But again, I have to say these if this is high school, these actors look so old.
Well, I know that Paul Verhoeven talked about how his original idea was to maybe cast actors in their early 20s, and that immediately got vetoed from the studio.
Right.
It's crazy to me because
Yeah.
the cast themselves seem like they're in their early 20s.
Yeah.
I don't know how old Neil Patrick was at that point, but
I think he might have been the
I think
youngest.
Casper was probably around 27, and Denise Richards is older than I think she is. So, it's one of those things that Denise wasn't like 19 when she made this movie. She
No,
was fully
they-
probably like
yeah.
25 or
I
26.
think they were
Right.
all around between 25 and 28.
And I always kind of wonder with Denise Richards' casting that they just did Showgirls. So I kind of wonder, did Denise meet with anybody for Showgirls and they just sort of, we're going to keep Denise Richards and Dina Meyer in our back pockets when we're casting Starship Troopers?
Yeah.
that would
Maybe,
be-
I don't know.
Do you think do you think Denise would have done Showgirls?
I mean, it was probably one of those things that maybe she met casting agents for it, but just didn't go that far.
right.
I mean, she was definitely acting at the time.
Yeah.
She could have.
When did Wild Things come out? Was
Wild
Starship-
Things was 97.
Say
It was the same
96,
year.
yeah.
So Denise had a pretty big 97. So
Yeah.
she did this and Wild Things.
Yeah. I wish Dina Meyer was in more things.
Yeah.
She had a good arc on Friends.
Who was she on Friends?
She was in a play with Joey.
Oh,
And,
yes,
yeah,
and Joey.
They kind of fell in love, but then she left. She just skipped town.
Right. Or was she the one who was also dating
The director of the play.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm. Her acting performance in Starship Troopers really isn't, the
Yeah.
greatest.
Yeah.
They gender flipped the character. It's a man in the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Dizzy's a male.
So I'm assuming
And
they just added
Paul
the
Verhoeven,
romance. though.
Yeah, they added Paul Verhoeven just wanted to make the character female, so they flipped him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They didn't need another guy in there.
And that's what's kind of interesting about how this society works. We can talk a little bit about just sort of the political setting of the movie, that I think it's interesting that genders seem to be equal
Which is
in this movie,
Yes.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
what we were talking about earlier is and especially in sci-fi, it seems like men and women are on even playing fields.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what I really appreciate about Starship Troopers is, Denise as Carmen, she, in a sense, I think all the women in this film, in a sense, are better than the men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Izzy was the best on-field soldier that there was.
Yeah.
She's introduced like a boss, too.
Like a boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and to talk about that, it's very strange to me that when you speak to people who do like this film, a lot of people are Izzy haters and they really do like Carmen.
No.
And I know,
Justice for-
I know when they were testing this movie, I think that they got a lot of negative feedback about Carmen, though. That
Yeah.
they sort of had to cut subplots of the movie with the love triangle more.
Right.
Which is a very, I know I keep saying it's a strange thing to me, but it's a very strange thing to me because watching this movie now in 2020, Carmen is not the type of woman that I would ever want to be around. She is not so innocent herself.
Yes.
She starts off, she knows, she's a character who knows the power of her beauty
Yeah.
and how far it can get her. And she thinks that by flirting with this football player from an opposing team that she's not doing much, but trying to, forward her career. And it's like, ma'am, we know what you're doing. What Casper is standing right there looking
Yeah.
the way that he does. And you're going to flirt with this other guy?
Yeah.
Get a little bit of Nomi Malone with that one.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the building blocks for
Interesting.
a character like Nomi.
So we watched a little bit of the movie with the commentary today, and I feel like Verhoeven gave some information that maybe would have helped if we had known in the movie. So they talk a lot about the background of this society that they're in. That we were talking about before, that it's this like fascist society. It's a military state, and the idea about that these characters are telling us is that to be a quote unquote citizen in the society, you have to have done service in the military.
Right.
If you have not done service and you're not a citizen, then you can't vote and you don't have the full rights of a full citizen.
Right.
And this is the fascist military police state that they're living in. And everybody's cool with it because that's just where they grew up and that's just all they know. So Carmen comes from a family that is like, yes, this is the way we do it. You're going to join the military. You're going to be a citizen, and that's that. Rico, Johnny Rico, who is Casper.
Johnny Rico, by the way, can we just say that name sounds like he needs to be a Mortal Kombat character.
Yeah. Totally.
It's like Johnny Rico.
Totally. All their names. Izzy Flores, Johnny...
Carmen, what, Ibanez?
Ibanez, yeah. The name of my first guitar, I had an Ibanez because couldn't afford a Fender. So we have to mention that this movie or this story takes place in Argentina.
Yeah.
Randomly.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Is that from the book?
Yes, it's from the book.
Is it mentioned in the movie? Because I don't think that's ever mentioned in the movie.
It says Buenos Aires.
You're right. You're right.
Which,
you're right.
I guess that I'm getting... I mean, is there some fascist connections? Because I know that a lot of German Nazis did hide out.
Nazis went to Buenos Aires, yeah.
Buenos Aires, too.
Yeah.
So there might be a little bit of a connection there.
Possibly. That might be it. But there is some stuff that in the book the characters were Latin.
I would have to think so, right?
Yeah. I think one of the main kind of complaints with the casting is that the Johnny Rico character is specifically called out as being Filipino in the book.
Right, because his name's not even Johnny. It's just Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's like the big thing is that like, oh, well, they whitewashed it or whatever.
Absolutely.
Verhoeven doesn't really talk about that.
Yeah.
But what he does talk about is that there was a scene with Carmen's family and meeting Rico and them just kind of like telling her like, well, he does his family. They're not citizens, so like he's not good enough for you.
Right.
You need to. If you're
Meanwhile,
going to be with a citizen.
His family has beautiful property, so they're loaded. But they're just so rich that they just don't really care about being citizens.
Yeah, I mean, when you're that rich, you don't have to care about voting. Yeah,
exactly. Because anything you're going to vote for is just going to benefit you anyway.
Right.
So
you're in that upper tax bracket.
Exactly. So that's kind of like the little backstory of like those two characters, and like why they have this like need to join the military right out of, again, what we're assuming to be high school.
Right. But I think Johnny Rico's motivation for joining is completely different than Carmen's.
Yes. Well, his is Carmen.
It's
right?
Carmen,
yeah,
right?
That's his whole reason.
Right. And so and he does definitely throughout the movie he realizes his mistake.
Yeah.
But I get it. Carmen definitely comes from that family where being in the service is top notch.
And her goal is, I want a pilot.
Right.
I want to be a pilot. I'm going to fly a spaceship. That's it.
Which is pretty cool.
Johnny can come with me if he comes with me. If not, that's cool
Which
too.
I like that there's that motivation that she isn't motivated by a man.
Yeah.
Like she has career aspirations that she wants to be a pilot.
Right.
Yeah. And I do like her few scenes when she is kind of going through like not even flight school. She's really just thrown in there.
Yeah.
that scene that you're talking about with Amy Smart always reminds me of the Nomi and Molly scenes from Showgirls. That
because they're just being gals.
They're just being gals. Like they're getting on their spaceship and they're just like,
hey girl,
having this grand old time. It reminds me a lot of those scenes from Showgirls where they're walking around Caesar's palace.
Sure.
Right.
Painting each other's nails.
Mm-hmm. Eating chips.
Eating chips. But I like that Carmen's kind of portrayed as this like kind of like bad girl. Like she's fast and everybody's like, oh fuck, she's flying, like,
right,
because that's usually a kind of a characteristic of like a guy, like a flyboy who's just like plays by his own rules or whatever. And that's just her. She's just like, I fly and I'm good and you know I'm good and I know I'm good,
right?
So like, what's good?
Mm-hmm. You know who Neil Patrick Harris's character also mirrors that. I mean, obviously he was the psychic friend, so he was a boss in that aspect.
Yeah.
But very much like knew what Well, I think he was different in Carmen in not knowing what he wanted to do. And
Sure.
then as soon as he got there, they were like, oh, you're upper echelon.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, all right.
I guess I am.
Right. I love that.
Yeah, this whole psychic storyline too.
It reminds me a lot of the movie Looper. Did you ever see Looper?
I love Looper.
So it's like there are those people in Looper in the society that can just sort of that have telekinesis, like they can move things.
Right.
So it just sort of humans have evolved to have these psychic abilities.
I think the one thing that you have to do when watching a Paul movie is suspend disbelief.
Yes.
This is not, you're not supposed to be watching a movie. This is escapism.
Yeah, totally.
It's not meant to be based in reality.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, and I will say this, watching Starship Troopers in 2020 definitely feels like it could be based in reality.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Watching this movie now seems very much, I mean, it's Space Force. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very much Space Force. And I definitely see the world of Troopers being the end goal of what 44's reign would have been.
Right.
Oh yeah. I mean, there was
Easy.
nothing scarier than the last 4 years of that.
Or 45, I'm sorry, not 44.
45. Yeah.
44 is the best.
That you're just
We like 45.
that you're just so slowly seeing America like go into fascism.
Absolutely.
Which is very, very scary.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, we also have those like iPads with Apple Pencils, just like they had at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, well, you know what? Also, like, that's why I think the propaganda is so appealing to me is because I feel like I was just scrolling through Twitter.
Right.
Yeah.
It was very much Twitter ads.
They're very quick little bite-sized.
15 seconds.
Yeah.
If you want to know more, click
Yeah.
on it. And
If not, scroll to the next one.
Swipe up
Yeah.
for more information. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. So some of the stuff was very like prescient in that things like that have come to pass. I'm still waiting on my laser beam tattoos.
We have a lot of tattoos, and
Those-
it would be, I guess it would be handy to just get them lasered onto us.
I mean, we get them lasered off, so why not, right?
Exactly. Although Casper Van Dien was playing it like it hurt.
I mean,
He wasn't just like eating a sandwich. He was like, a
laser tattoo seems like it would be a little bit more
burn that shit on you.
Yeah.
I mean, right now they're carving it into your body, so it still hurts.
Right.
But, yeah.
Casper Van Dien and that fucking body.
Oh my god,
That body, that you can tell that entire cast for that shower scene probably just worked their fucking ass off for.
right, for sure.
Yeah.
But also they were pretty. I mean, they were pretty young, so it's
Yes.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It did.
And he was
One donut's not going to hurt.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And Casper Van Dien was probably in shape. but
Casper
he
looks like a pretty small, compact guy too.
Well, yeah, he got like a little teeny tiny waist, but he was pretty broad shouldered. He had some mass on him.
Yeah, his chest was pretty big.
Yes. And this is 97, so we haven't gotten to this like, super lean twink fantasy of the last 15 years.
Right, or else MPH would have been on the field.
Exactly.
It was kind of like I mean, that's what Marvel stars look like now, and you didn't see that a lot in movies like that. I mean, of course, you had like JCVD, or
Well, that's the thing. There were a handful of guys, and
a
they
handful
were
of guys that did look like that.
big. But they were like,
But we always talk when you watch
Bulk.
the original Terminator. Just Michael Biehn just looks like a dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Just looks like a guy.
Yeah,
just like a thin guy. Well, I think that was to contrast Arnie.
Arnie. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But so everybody they graduate their high school class, and everybody kind of goes their separate ways. But I love this scene where it's NPH, Denise, and Casper, and they're like, well. And it's that classic like movie thing. We just graduated high school, so obviously we'll never see each other again.
We're gonna make a pact that we're gonna be friends forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love this pact.
Let's make a vow. No matter what, we'll always be friends.
I'll go for that.
Well, chances are we'll never see each other again. We'll be millions of light years away from each other. But, yeah, sure, why not?
And that's the thing where I kind of think that this movie is, I don't know that it's made specifically for kids. Maybe that's just, again, how Verhoeven directs it. But scenes like that, the dialogue, the acting style, it's almost a little sitcom-y.
It's teen soap opera, and I love it. I love it. It's so funny because those three were supposed to be the best of friends.
Yeah.
And yet Denise and Neil never had a one-on-one scene ever.
That was my thing. I'm like, did they even speak to each other at all?
I'm like, you're best friends, yet you haven't spoken to each other.
Yeah, at least they would set that up now. They would show like them having one scene together.
Right.
And is Dizzy part of this group? Is she an outsider?
I mean, Dizzy's
Did she
sort of
go to the prom with NPH, or is he just like creeping on her?
I think he's kind of creeping on her.
That. Yeah, he's very. Yeah, he's. Have you guys ever seen Daria?
Yeah.
He's very much like. Why can I not think of his name right now? The redhead nerd who's always hitting on.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, like NPH is very much that. I love that.
Yeah, that is very cute though. That was that was good stuff in that scene.
And Dizzy, I mean, she's fallen for Casper because, I mean, why would you not?
Right.
Because he's super handsome, and she follows him to basic training.
Right. Yes. What he did for Carmen, she did for him.
Yep.
Oh yeah, very true.
Yeah.
And so we cut. So that's the thing. Carmen immediately somehow she tests right into this like pilot program,
right?
Which, I mean, if you're going to fly the space shuttle, I feel like you got to go through basic training.
I would hope so.
At least go to flight school.
Right. I mean, at the rate that they were dying in this movie, I'm pretty sure that the turnover for pilots, they really didn't care.
Yeah,
you know what
right,
I mean?
Right. But somehow they're just like, all right, come in. We're going to teach you how to fly this gigantic spaceship the size of like New York City.
Right.
She's that smart.
Or you know what? Also, I would say that probably since she does come from a career family,
sure,
that this is probably something that
legacy.
she has been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
Which is great for her. I guess.
Maybe she was in like a magnet track to like.
Correct. They probably had like she was probably at school doing virtual reality flying.
There you go. I like it.
You know.
On those iPad desks.
Yes.
Okay.
And oh my God, but how cute! I mean, Casper sending the video message, the cartoon drawing of him in Carmen.
Yes,
that was super cute.
Which it's this like line drawing side profile, but it looked exactly like them. Because they look like mannequins. they look like that thing. And remember Enchanted, where you're like, the beginning of Enchanted is like animated.
Yes.
And you're like, that really does look like Susan Sarandon.
That really does look like James Marsden.
Mm-hmm. Because James Marsden and Susan Sarandon faces look like cartoons.
Yeah. Oh, James Marsden.
But that's that kind of, he's got that thing. And I think Casper Van Dien has that thing too, where it's probably hard to cast him. Because he doesn't look like normal people.
Because he's too handsome.
Right.
And James Marsden, I think that kind of that face, that James Marsden face, it's like, congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that face, dude.
Yeah.
But it probably holds him back from getting roles because he looks so different.
We have to briefly mention who else is one of their teachers.
Oh, Blanche Devereaux.
Rue McClanahan.
Rue McClanahan.
A very special appearance from Blanche from the Golden Girls.
And so is the perfect selfless member of society.
But humans have created art, mathematics, and interstellar travel.
True, but before you let that go to your head, take the example of the arachnids, a highly evolved insect society. By human standards, they are relatively stupid. But their evolution stretches over millions of years. And now,
Here, take this.
they can colonize planets by hurling their spore into space.
Yeah, I think we got it.
As a
blind as a bat.
Blind and has burns
Like
on her
burn
face.
scars?
Yeah. Or sunburn is what I don't know.
I think the idea too is that all the teachers are like maimed. Right,
because they clearly did service.
Yes, that's the thing. So, like Michael Ironside, which is this teacher that Casper Van Dien looks up to, fully just missing an arm.
Yeah.
What if she was sprayed by the acid from one of the bugs?
There you go. Yeah.
How long do you think these bugs have been sending these meteors to Earth in the universe of this movie?
I think this war has been going on for a while.
Okay. I mean, it would have had to been.
Right, for sure.
Because this like high school class fully has like an entire classroom full of like big old bug
Bugs,
carcasses
yeah.
for them to dissect with no rubber gloves on.
Yeah, just stick your hands right in there.
Right.
We had to wear rubber gloves when we dissected earthworms.
I never got to dissect anything in high school.
Oh, I dissected everything.
I dissected earthworms, frogs.
I did a fetal pig
Ugh.
in high school.
Yeah.
It was awful. Yeah, and you got to wear gloves. Maybe it's the future. Maybe they have some sort of like spray on like adhesive thing.
Latex glove.
Yeah, it's like spray on your hand, and then you're like clean.
I mean, Jake Busey did get a knife thrown at his hand, and it healed pretty fast.
Then
Yeah.
all he did was he just had that like
The future.
he just had that like Jello like cast on, and then his like hand was normal. He's playing the violin, playing that.
It's like, sir, if you could play the violin so well, I don't know why you joined service.
Right?
It's like, you guys have other skills. That's what I really, I mean, obviously it drives home
Yeah.
the point of this being, you know, a pro-military state.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, we keep going back to the shower scene, but it serves a purpose.
It serves a purpose because they're created equal. Like, why would we divide up our showers from male and female?
But not, well, yes.
I do.
Yes.
I like that. I never thought about that.
But they also ask you, the one guy with the crazy blue eyes asks everybody, why did you join? Like, why are you here?
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, the one woman says, like, I want to go into politics.
The one
You
guy
gotta be a
says,
citizen.
I just don't want to work on my parents' farm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The one guy says, I went to Harvard. And he says it like that. No, he said, I got into Harvard.
Yeah.
And if you notice, he's the only Latin-looking one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, fun fact about that actor, he's not Latin. He is Pacific Islander.
Oh, okay.
I know that because he was on The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, sure. He's married to Elizabeth.
He was married to Elizabeth Reeser.
Elizabeth Reeser.
Yes.
Sure.
And I looked him up then. I was like, oh, I wonder what kind of Latin this guy is. Oh, none at all. He is fully Filipino. But yeah, so he went to Harvard, but I forgot what his reason was. Something was going to be cheaper or something.
Because I think that
paid for.
they
Yes.
pay.
Yeah,
they pay for college.
They pay for the entire education. Yeah.
One woman says that she wants to have children, and it's easier to get a license when you're a citizen. So
Right.
they're even putting regulations on legally having children. You know, all this is how like far and wide this like fascist state is.
Right.
So that's kind of what they're showing off there. And is Rico the only one that's just like, I joined for a girl?
Right.
No, Dizzy says like he joined for a girl.
Rico, your turn. Who asked you to be so nosy? What, the bad guy? I'm going to be a writer, you know? A writer's got a right to be nosy. Hey, Flores, you know Rico from Buenos Aires. What's his story?
He's here because of a girl.
Then
And he
slaps that beautiful
and then
ass.
slaps that meaty ass, and then he gets all huffy and like walks out.
So when we were watching the commentary, they were talking about shooting this scene of just like, they're just like, oh my God, like we have to all get naked. So,
Well, they said it was very early in the shoot,
It was
and because
early in
there's
the shoot, yep.
so many of them in the scene that not all of them knew each other.
Right.
That some of the other just background people, they had just like, hi, let's all take our pants off.
Right.
now. So
and
they
then
said it was kind
Dina
of like
Meyer tells this funny story of talking to Paul, because it's kind of funny of just sort of Dina's relationship with Paul, because she seems like someone that kind of calls him out.
Yeah.
Of when he's being difficult, like a scene like this, and he's just like, come on, like, what are you? All of you Americans are just so uptight that you just can't take your clothes off for the scene. And Dina Meyer was just like, well, why don't you take off your pants?
Right.
And I guess that's how he directed the scene.
That's what I heard.
Is that
Yeah.
he directed
He was
it naked
Yeah.
with the DP.
And it's funny because that's a little tidbit that's like in the IMDb trivia, and I think it's probably on the Wikipedia page, but in the commentary, Casper Van Dien's like, you're the one that told him that. And she's like, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So it was fully
Wow.
Dina Meyer that was like, hey. And she kind of says like, well, I was kind of just like, not even daring him, just kind of trying to be funny. Like,
Right,
oh, why don't
right.
you take your pants
All
off?
right,
And
Mr.
then-
Director
and then-
that wants to do nudity, why don't you take off your pants?
Right.
Yeah. So Yeah. So, but again, that's that like you know standards of like nudity and bodies and sexuality is different in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Denmark. I think he's from Denmark.
Do you guys know if that scene was in the script before
Interesting.
the
I don't
actors even... You know what I mean?
Right,
Did Denise
right.
go in knowing that she was going to have to be...
Well, Denise is not in
Denise
it.
is, correct. Yeah,
and
right,
neither's
yeah.
NPH.
Right.
I'm sure that they did.
Yeah.
Well, and also all of these actors would have signed on to this movie, probably having seen Showgirls too.
Oh, that's true.
So
that's
I think
true.
that just sort of, and also the Sharon Stone scene from Basic Instinct.
Yeah.
Shout out to our Basic Instinct episode of Chip Hope.
yeah.
So I think that just sort of he had that reputation as a director of you probably will have to take your clothes off.
Right. You're going to be showing something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, he is from the Netherlands.
Okay, from the Netherlands.
I also think that Paul Verhoeven probably just has the outlook of these are beautiful actors. Why wouldn't you want to show off their bodies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
I mean,
I'm thankful.
and by the way, Casper Van Dien today
Still hot.
Still can get it.
hot.
I mean, Casper Van Dien, the
Old man
hardest,
Rico.
the hardest,
Rico,
the hardest working man in showbiz, like 130 some credits on IMDb. So that guy just be working.
Yeah.
Just like booked and blessed.
Yeah.
So when you noticed on IMDb, so he's got 131 credits. He was just in. He's in Dying is Easy. That's so cool. Okay, so he was just in Alita, Battle Angel, which we saw in the theater.
I love that movie.
It's a motion capture performance, and I remember.
Do you remember him in that movie?
I don't.
'Cause
Who
I
was
remember
he?
seeing his name in the credits and just being like, "Oh, okay."
I mean, it is a motion capture performance, but you see his face.
Yeah.
He just has like a one eye, like Borg, like implant.
Is he? And he fought with.
Yeah.
Alita?
I think so, yeah. So he's kind of shirtless with like a harness situation.
Gotcha.
And his face, it's mostly his face, but he has like a one like robot eye.
Right.
And his character's name is God, what year was Alita? Amok, I don't know. Well, he's in Alita. Look him up. But he's also in a Batman fan film.
I was going to say, Dying is Easy.
Dying
I'm
is
not
Easy.
super familiar with this, but
Yeah.
it has.
It's got a lot of people in it.
Doug Jones is the Riddler in it, and Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
So interesting. I'd never heard of this movie.
Yeah, I was looking it up the other day. Jamie Costa, who I kind of love because I'm a nerd, is in it. But yeah, it's this like 30, 45-minute Batman fan film. And
He played Commissioner Gordon, right?
yes, he
Yeah,
did. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like James Vanderbeek. Oh, my God.
James Vanderbeek wishes he was in this movie.
Where am I going? Yeah. Whew, no way. Casper Van Dien. He's hotter. Wrong Dutchman.
I mean, they're eerily similar. They look eerily similar.
They do. They have that like very square. Their bodies are made of squares. If you're to draw them out.
Casper's more handsome, though.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I mean, he's still working it out, and he's a hot Commissioner Gordon in the Batman movie. So okay, so where are we in Starship Troopers? I mean, there's so much going.
So much.
There's so much going on. So okay.
Oh, okay. So, last thing we had said was Izzy had joined for Dizzy had joined for Rico. And then there's this weird power struggle that happens throughout the next maybe 20 minutes of the film of who's going to be squad leader.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Rico's whole thing is that he was kind of too dumb to place into anything else than like frontline infantry, right? So now he's in frontline infantry, but while he's there, he's excelling.
Is he?
Is he?
He's doing fine.
Yeah, he's doing fine.
He's doing fine. But I mean, he eventually does make squad leader, but then there's like this crazy accident because they're using live ammunition.
Crazy.
And a training thing.
I mean, Pete said it when we were watching that scene, but when he took off his helmet, I mean, that ammunition is coming straight for his face.
If that guy kept his helmet on,
he would be dying anyway.
Anyway.
He'd still been dead.
It's like, what are the helmets made out of? Vibranium?
Yeah. Well, I have some issues with all of their armor.
Yeah.
First of all, it's like a tank top of armor.
Yeah.
Their whole ass
Not very
sleeves-
practical.
Yeah.
Their whole ass arms are out.
Right.
Their helmets are like a skateboarding helmet.
Right. Only cover
Like,
their ears.
Yeah. None of their face is covered. I don't think they have anything on their legs. It is the craziest armor ever. But also, in the books, in the source material, the whole idea is that the army is wearing what is the Tom Cruise movie with Emily Blunt?
Live, Die, Repeat?
Yes,
That-
but there was remember
but
there was
that's
also
the
another
name.
title.
What-
There was
what
also
is the
another
real-
title. Yeah,
What is the real title of
never
that movie?
something
The Day After... No, it's not The Day
Something
After
about
Tomorrow.
repeat?
The Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow?
No, is it?
Is it? Well, at any rate,
The Edge of Tomorrow also feels like it should be directed by Paul Verhoeven, too. It's Doug Liman, but
yeah, for sure.
It definitely
Edge.
fits.
Yeah, it's Edge of Tomorrow. Is that funny? Or
I enjoyed that movie.
Great,
Yeah,
great
it's
movie,
great.
love it. And remember the armor that they're wearing in that
Yes.
movie. That is what in the book. That's the whole deal. Is that they're wearing these mechanized suits,
Gotcha.
right? And they just kind of were like, nope. And I think a big part of that was in 1997. There was no way that they were going to be able to do believable mechanized armor suits for an entire
Sure. It's not
True.
it's not built in the budget. We
Yeah.
have to do these costumes
yes,
on a reasonable budget.
Well, probably because the entire budget went towards those special effects.
Which age really well.
up.
I mean, there's
Amazing.
space scenes that just look like you could drop those scenes in The Last Jedi, and they would be
Right.
right at home.
Right.
It was nominated for the Oscar for Best Visual Effects. It lost to Titanic.
that's crazy.
That
Yeah.
is really crazy.
But it's like there are, these like B and like C and D movies that come out today that don't look as good as this.
Yeah.
Like the bugs, when there are people in the scene with the bug, it's like they're right there.
Yeah.
I
all
mean,
the outer space
meanwhile,
stuff,
put on like
beautiful.
The Mummy Returns, and you see the end of that movie with The Rock.
Yeah, which came out 3-4 years later, and it looks worse.
Terrible.
Yeah. So the special effects hold up really well, but they weren't able to do the mechanized suits. But we got them 20 years later in Edge of Tomorrow. So go watch that if you want to.
Edge of Tomorrow have insects? Because that's the whole thing with the insects. Is that
Yes,
it's
they're
that time
bugs.
loop?
Yeah, they're
it's
fighting
that time
like-
loop that's sort
they're
of
creatures.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
creatures. I mean, they're kind of insecty, but they're
And I think that Edge of Tomorrow is
Shape-shifty.
based on a manga.
It
I
is.
think, yeah.
It is, yeah. So there's a weird situation with this live ammunition. Somebody gets killed. Rico was the squad leader for like 5 minutes.
Right.
And he was the one responsible for telling him to take off
To
his
take
helmet.
off the helmet. He had malfunction in the helmet. He's like, give me your helmet. I'm going to fix it. Boom, shot in the face. This leads to like some crazy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
The BDSM whipping scene.
So,
And because his dad referenced
corporal punishment.
His dad referenced the corporal punishment of being whipped earlier in the movie. So this is just like a Thursday.
Right.
Yeah, he says like, I'd rather take lashings in the public square than, than whatever.
Yeah.
And at that point, you think he's being sarcastic?
Over dramatic.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but this is something quite literally that they do.
Yeah. I kind of wanted the whip to be like electrified or something. Because it's like the sci-fi. Like in the Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
To have like a lighting effect on it.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, that would happen now if this movie was made
yeah.
now. For
He
sure.
gets his public flogging.
Yeah.
Takes off that shirt with that jacked body.
Yeah. So the one girl that like accidentally shoots the guy, she gets kicked out. The one guy's dead. And Rico's like, he gets flogged and then he just quits.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Out of character? Maybe.
I mean, if you were responsible for somebody's death, I think
Yeah,
I would probably
true.
want to leave the industry that I was in.
Yeah, true. But then it's like at this very moment that there's this huge like outbreak, war starts, the bugs are like coming to Earth, they're making their way here, and so everybody like it's like literally at the moment that he's walking to the door.
True. That's very true, yes.
They like stops, turns around.
And also, where they're from,
Clendathu?
Clendathu, it's
you're
like
talking about Clendathu.
it's been destroyed, right?
right. So I
he
think...
has nothing to go back. He has nothing to go back
Oh,
to.
Buenos Aires was
But-
destroyed.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important to let everybody know that humankind got themselves in this situation. And it's a weird thing when you look at it, because they began colonizing other planets. Mm-hmm. Worlds beyond our galaxy.
Is it the Mormons that
and it's like they are so unaware that maybe the inhabitants of these planets are retaliating out of self-defense and not out of aggression. And what does America, I'm just going to say America at this point, what does America do? Yeah. They retaliate with aggression with more aggression. Yeah. And it's like, you guys got to understand, you're colonizing other people's planets.
Yeah. We get set up very early on, kind of in a little throwaway, one of the propaganda scenes, that there's a Mormon colony that has set up on this little rock way out somewhere. Yeah.
And Mormon extremists.
Yes. Mormon extremists. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, oh, that's funny. Mormon extremists. They're like setting up. But then what happens is, like, there were bugs there. Yeah. And the bugs came and killed all the Mormons. And
bodies littered everywhere.
Yeah. Like ripped apart. It's gory. And and then so the military's like, okay, let's get over here and just bomb the hell out of this planet. The scenes, though, the action scenes where they're shooting the bugs, it's crazy because these bug creatures are the size of like a school bus, first of all, like one of them. And the humans, when they're shooting them, it takes like, they've got these giant machine guns, and it takes like 2 or 3 of them to like empty their machine guns.
Can't they just bomb this area, like bomb the areas?
Yeah. And like they're doing this, and like one bug goes down. Right. After like 3 people empty out a whole gun on one bug, and it goes down. Then like the camera will pan up, and it's like 50 million bugs coming towards you. So like, what the fuck?
You're like, you're doomed.
What the hell are they doing? This is pointless.
The only good, what is it? The only good bug is a dead bug.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you're right, Scott. It's like, why are they even sending like ground troops to? What? This is so like inefficient.
If we really think about it, it's the right wing, militarism. It's like the only way you're going to serve your country, the only way you really can serve your country is on the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, no, I would much rather have been like Johnny Rico's mom and be like, no, we want you to go to college. Like, I'm going to college.
Yeah, finish up your education. All right, you're going to pay for it. Sweet. I love the scenes, though, the propaganda scenes that cut to the military with kids.
That's very RoboCop 2.
Passing the guns around and the bullets and the kids like tug of war with a machine gun.
And we were just watching RoboCop 2, and that has like an army of children.
Yeah.
That are like...
Well, one of the main villains is like 12.
Yeah.
He's like a drug lord. Right. Like 13. I do also love this scene where they say the only good bug is a dead bug, and all the kids are stomping on the cockroaches.
Yes.
And let me tell you, those are Madagascar hissing cockroaches, and those kids are stomping the fuck out.
Stomping.
This is real.
I mean, going to town, they're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can buy Madagascar hissing cockroaches as like a pet at like PetSmart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're big.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to step on one of those. It's gross.
Yeah.
The goo.
Yeah.
They're like the size of your palm. They're huge. Okay, anytime in a movie where it's like they need a big scary bug or a big cockroach, it's always a Madagascar hissing cockroach. You know what they look like.
Right.
They're big, brown, and they got stripes.
They're good movie bugs.
They're great movie bugs. And they actually hiss, by the way.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
Interesting.
I used to work at a children's museum, and we had an educational museum, and we had lots of insects, and I've held them in my hands and showed them to kids, and if you prod them in just the right way, they will fully hiss, and it's crazy.
So I'm terrified of bugs, and so I think that's probably why this movie really scared me as a kid.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was sitting there watching it glued to the TV, but I was definitely like those bugs.
Yeah.
And my dad gave me a fair warning. Like he was like, you probably shouldn't be watching this at your age, but I think you would enjoy it. And
yeah. And the bug aliens in the movie don't really look like any specific kind of bug that we have here. So it's not like they just look like big, praying mantis or anything.
Right.
They kind of look like a combination of lots of things.
Yeah.
But they still have those elements that you're just like, ugh,
Yeah.
that is awful.
Yeah.
I hate that.
I think it's kind of interesting of the insects of why they're in the movie that I was reading an interview with him where he talked about sort of the political correctness of the movie. If it's big insects, you can shoot them to pieces and no one cares. It's sort of tying into the statement of this movie that insects are the shared enemy that you're just sort of removed from.
Yeah, I get that.
It's the thing in the military of dehumanizing the enemy.
Yeah.
And also, like I said, it's as much as they want to do that, there are some of us who remember and who know it's like, yeah, but you started this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
It's like you want us to be against the bugs, but you started this.
Yeah. But it's like there's a reason that the military in every in Vietnam, in Korea, in World War II, that they had these horribly offensive nicknames for the nationals that they were fighting against.
Right.
It was to dehumanize them to the infantry. So
Right.
that it's like, I'm not even going to say them because they're awful. But it's like, it's not a person. It's just whatever, you know? And so, it's the same thing here. It's like they're actually literally bugs.
Yeah.
We're on a bug hunt. And they're gross. I mean, it's way later in the movie, but the big mother brain butthole bug is
yes.
That thing is awful. It's so gross.
Yeah.
And it's still to this day, it's just like, who
Thought
designed
of it? There's actually, I have not gotten to watch it. But I did run across videos of sort of that process and them making the tanker bugs and all that kind of stuff. And I was very interested in seeing that.
Yeah. Because a lot of it too is we're talking a lot about the CGI and how good it is, but there's a lot of puppetry in this movie.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's some practical effects here.
Really good work. I still don't know how the hell they did that thing where the bug impales Casper Van Dien's leg.
Yeah.
Because he pulls it out of his leg. It's really cool effect. Because he pulls it out of his leg. And it's like, wow, that's kind of amazing.
In this last act of the movie, it's Denise Richards has a bug arm through her shoulder. Oh, yeah. And then she just gets up and walks away.
Yeah.
Casper has one go through his leg.
Gets up and walks away.
Okay.
And Dizzy dies.
Yeah. So in one of the battle scenes, Casper takes a bug spear to the leg, and he does kind of crawl away, and you think he dies, and it's it's a good kind of little misdirect, but then he wakes up in the Bacta tank, floating in water.
His Luke Skywalker scene from Empire.
Although he's just wearing his army little shorty shorts,
his little ranger panties.
Yeah.
I know that they're called ranger panties.
He's wearing his little ranger panties in the water. He could have been nude. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Throw us a bone.
Right. Literally.
There's some interesting stuff in the middle with Carmen, Denise Richards, when she breaks up with him over an email.
Yes.
And the acting, I'm telling you, in this video message.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
She's just look at this view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, wouldn't you just love it? I wish you were here.
That's what we're fighting for.
I mean, this is why they cast Denise in Drop Dead Gorgeous 2 years later.
Yeah.
Is her delivery like this?
Yeah. It's very pageant.
Yes.
Very pageanty. But, she breaks up with him because she decides she's going career.
Right.
She's going to stay in the military because she's advancing real fast. And she meets up with the guy, the fake Eric McCormick.
You think he looks like Eric McCormick?
A little bit.
I see a little Eric McCormick in there. The weird hair. I don't understand this hair on him. It's so I can't even describe it.
Right.
It's very poofy.
Very coiffed.
Moose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very coiffed. She meets up with the other football player guy. They just happen to be in the same ship,
Right.
the Roger Young. And so is she having a romance with him? Is she not?
I see it.
Well, I think that was one of the things that they had to pull back on when they tested this movie, was that test audiences really hated that character. Like having,
they didn't like Denise flirting so much with cheating on Casper Van Dien.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I think that was the idea, and they had to cut all of those scenes.
I don't even see it as like dangerously close to flirting. Like she, you know what I mean? Like she, but I also see the thing that I really like about Carmen, and especially if we were, seeing this movie in 2020 and we were thinking about it in those terms, she used a man because that was her first. Yeah. What really attracted her to him was, oh, you're in the flight academy? That's where I'm going too. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's like, oh, that's an ambitious woman.
Yeah.
And so I saw it as more like, yeah, she was flirting with this man. But it was for her to get ahead.
Yeah.
Whatever she must have learned some sort of intel or information or skill from him that projected her further.
It's interesting though, because at the beginning of the movie it seems like they're the same age, but then it also seems like he's ahead of her in
the
academy. So I don't
because it seems like because they're playing football.
Yeah.
And then it almost seems like he shouldn't be in high school for sure, especially if he's in the academy. And then they definitely seem like they're just seniors in high school.
Yeah, yeah. But then later on when she meets him, it seems like he's almost her superior.
Yes.
But it's like...
Maybe by rank?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Well...
But didn't you start off at the same time if you graduated at the same time? I don't know. Who knows?
Well, he was already there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was already there. So
he's just still playing football for his alma mater. Who knows? Who knows? Let's not dig too deep into this one.
Right. Like I said, you have to watch Paul movies with a suspended disbelief.
Absolutely. So Carmen's on this track to she's already outranked Rico at this point in the movie. And this is when he's just kind of come to terms okay, she's they call it something. I forgot what they call it, but he's like, we don't mix together.
Right.
Our guys stay with our guys. You guys stay over there and whatever. So he's kind of cool with Carmen being off to, to her own thing. So we eventually have to get to this last battle with that starts off with the Mormons and then just ends up on this this planet. Is this the bug home planet? It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does it matter?
I think it is.
I think it is. I think it's the bug home planet.
I believe it's the whole bug home planet.
Wait a minute,
because that was the reason the Mormons went there.
Oh, I was going to say
we're going to colonize.
Yeah.
I kind of missed that these are the Mormons that were settling it.
Yeah. That's when they get there, that's the settlement that's all and that's where Michael Ironside gets his legs bit off.
Alien style.
Oh, yeah, that was those scenes.
Okay, so there's some gory shit in these battles. So Michael Ironside, who already is missing a whole ass arm, and in the movie had a prosthetic, and now he's got a robot arm.
Right.
Now he gets eaten by a tank bug, and when they pull him out, they do that thing where his body's halfway submerged in the sand, and they pull him out, legs gone. Awful. And then he and Rico had this conversation earlier in the movie, because he saw one guy get taken by a pterodactyl bug, and when the pterodactyl bug dropped the guy off in the nest, Michael Ironside goes to he aims with the gun, and you think he's going to shoot the bug, shoots the guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I expect you to do the same for me. And so what does Rico do when his legs are half bitten off?
Right. Shoots up.
Yep. We have to give a shout out to Greg Travis from Showgirls. He's Phil, who works for the casino that Nomi.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's the one that goes and gets Nomi at the cheetah.
And where is he in this? Is he the one that's in the closet?
He is a correspondent.
Oh, he's on the news?
On the news.
He's the one that he says, it's an ugly planet, a bug planet. And he gets chopped in half.
A part of the Verhoeven repertoire.
Yes, yes. So people are getting chopped in half. They're getting their legs ripped off. That one chick who gets the acid spray.
Yes.
And her arm just melts.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
So disgusting. To say the least of what happens when, we're on this, on the bug planet, and they get trapped with this brain bug. Mm-hmm. It's so awful. Disgusting, I mean.
And this brain bug is almost like the queen from Alien.
Yeah.
It's sort of like their alien, their bug hub.
So they figured out that it can do this thing where if it pierces your brain, it can
because it sucks out all your brains from your skull.
Yeah, and then it knows your thoughts. I think.
I think so.
That's it. Yeah.
Then it knows your thoughts, and that's how it got the jump on them.
Yeah.
To messed up their plans and
isn't that a whole thing? I mean, we were just talking about the Edge of Tomorrow. Isn't that sort of built into the story of the Edge of Tomorrow?
Kind of.
That they're sort of anticipating what their moves are.
Yeah, and that's why they keep resetting the time loop or whatever.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. Edge of Tomorrow, bunch of thieves. Just watch Starship Troopers. So, so Johnny Rico and his team are in there. Oh, Izzy just fully gets ripped to shreds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm watching it and I'm just like, what the hell? And I forget every time.
It's kind of a throwaway moment of the movie that you're like, oh, now she's gone.
I forget every time.
I read something that said with the audience testing that they would have preferred Carmen to have died. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, people really were more invested in Dizzy and
Which
Rico's.
I see why, just because Izzy I think is the more maybe you could just sort of see yourself in Izzy a little more because she's with your protagonist.
When they have
you're with she's with him on his journey.
When they have that little R&R camping night,
yes,
and they have their moment in the tent, and she's just like, "All right, let's fuck. We've got all night."
Yeah,
that was awesome. I'm like, okay, I'm loving this.
Yeah,
and I love when the Michael Ironside walks in. He's like, "Oh, we got to leave." R&R's over. We got to go. And he's like, "Who's under there with you?"
It's so funny because this movie really, I think, was. Aside from Titanic, was the first time that I had seen nudity on screen.
Yeah.
And not knowing, I mean, I'm 8 years old, naked bodies are naked bodies. But watching that movie, as a teenager, I view things a little differently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That scene between Johnny Rico and Dizzy is probably... one of the best.
Yeah, totally.
You never see
it's a good scene.
You never see shit like that in mainstream Hollywood movies now.
No,
you never see that.
No, it's too bad. Bring back casual nudity. Bring back casual nudity. So in this final showdown, it's this crazy bug fight. They're being totally overrun with bugs. Rico just had to kill Michael Ironside. It's all going to shit. You think they're going to die. And then all of a sudden, they get saved. And they get saved by Carmen and fake Eric McCormick.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, sweet. So we're out of here. And then they crash land right into the bug.
And they're taken as prisoners, right?
Yes.
Yeah. By these super intelligent bugs, right? Because they're not killing them.
Yeah.
They're
they need information.
Yeah. So we get the two of them get fully stabbed and impaled through their backs and are still alive. I love he throws Carmen a little pocket knife. She hides a pocket knife, and then he fully gets stabbed in the brains. Brain sucked out, and she's just kind of watching, screaming. Doesn't do anything. Well, I mean, she's stabbed through the back and shoulder and out the other side. So what's she going to do? Right. But they drag her over. They're going to do the same thing to her. And she's got the little pocket knife. And she stabs the big alien butthole mother alien creature.
Right.
And it's screaming. And they come in and they save the day. Because they have one bomb left. And they blow it all to hell. Then Neil Patrick Harris comes in and does some like psychic friends network on the mother bug.
And this is when their uniforms really start to look like Nazis.
Yeah. Especially theirs though.
Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris, like I mean,
it's like they're not being subtle anymore with the costumes.
It's straight up like Raven of the Lost Ark.
The eagle on the arm. You know what I mean? It's
yeah. And Neil Patrick Harris, we have to say, because he's psychic, he got placed into military intelligence right out of high school and like blew through the ranks. So I'm guessing he's just like extra psychic or something.
Extra psychic.
So, and at this point when we see him, he's got like dark circles under his eyes and he's like super skinny to begin with.
Right.
And like just super like cheekbones and all that. But I think they were trying to go for this, like he's been through it.
Right.
All, you know, these past however many years it's been, I guess, at this point. So yeah, so he's high up there in military intelligence and these guys, yeah, they're straight up.
Yes.
Like
part of the Reich.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Not even playing around anymore. And they pull out the queen alien and everybody just like celebrates like we got him. And it's just like, all right, you guys are on their planet.
Right. Get out.
Yeah. So, and it kind of ends with, well, at this point, Carmen, again, who has like a baseball size hole in her in her shoulder, is just
like she's not bleeding out.
Right.
She's walking out arm in arm with Rico and NPH Carl, I think his name
Carl. Yeah. Jenkins or something weird like that. Like it's the weirdest. His last name is Jenkins.
Why are they Rico and Ibanez and he's Jenkins?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
So weird.
That's so weird. Oh my god. So yeah, so it ends on this note of like we're back together again, guys. The three of us, as best friends.
The gang's been reunited.
Yeah. Everybody we love is dead except us.
Told you we would be friends forever.
Yeah. See, everybody didn't make that pact. If they had,
they would still be alive.
Yeah. I mean, just goes to show you. So the ending is like the good guys, quote unquote, like win. But again, it's this like intentionally satirical war movie. So that's going to be the ending.
Right.
You know?
I think that I read a quote of Verhoeven saying that war makes fascists of us all.
Isn't that like a famous quote?
Yeah.
Cliff's Notes?
I think that's a famous quote. The great philosopher Anonymous once said that.
Yeah. But so they've all kind of gone through their own trajectories, but they still kind of come back to each other at the end.
Right.
Now, have you seen any of the sequels? Because there's like 4 of these
Yeah,
movies.
I've seen all of them.
Wow.
I love Starship Troopers that much.
And is it one of those things kind of like with the original RoboCop, like the first RoboCop is just sort of, there's a lot going on with it, and then it just sort of, the materials just sort of became what it was sort of trying to satirize.
Yes.
Is that sort of what became of the Starship Trooper movies?
Yes. And the fact that the writer still wrote number 1, number 2, and I believe number 4.
Okay.
And I mean, they're not as great as the first.
Oh yeah. And Casper comes back for one of them? 2 of them?
Two of them? The second and the fourth.
Okay. Wow. So only one of them was animated then?
That's in addition to the animated
movie. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. I thought like the first official sequel was animated, but I'm wrong. Okay.
So surprise, surprise, this movie did not quite do so well with audiences or critics when it came out, but it's sort of just one of those movies that time has been really kind to this movie, and there's definitely been a reassessment of this movie as a political and a military satire. And sometimes whenever you look at best lists of the 90s, Starship Troopers is usually on there.
Yeah.
I think that it may have made like Sight and Sound's list of like the best movies to come out of the 90s, but it's definitely a movie that has aged really well because I think that audiences now can wrap their mind around material like this a little better than they could in 97.
I mean, it was just panned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was just I didn't understand why. It really was a wonderful film for me.
Yeah.
It's just people taking it so much of face value that you really can't see what they're going for. with a movie like this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that had to be it because there's so much more to it, and I don't understand that after you maybe seeing the marketing and you're just like, oh, okay, standard sci-fi space war movie, but then when you're watching it, I don't understand people watching and going like, oh yeah, this is totally 100% serious. Mm-hmm. What? Yeah. How can you think?
Yeah, for sure.
It's so crazy. Mm-hmm. It's obviously like sending up.
Now, do you think that maybe it was the right-wing militarism and the pro-fascism that made people pan the movie, or do we just think Paul made a bad movie?
I think part of it is that, but I also think part of it is this heightened kind of like teen drama style of acting that people are like, oh, I think on the surface, if you're not doing any homework at all and you're just like scrolling through and it's just on TBS, it looks like a B movie.
Yeah.
And so I think people are like, oh, this is obviously not like as well made as it could be.
Right.
So I think people just kind of see it and take it, like you said, at face value, and they're just like, it's corny, it's over the top, it looks fake, blah blah blah. But it's like, if you actually take the time to watch it, you kind of realize that that's all of that serves a purpose. Mm-hmm. You know,
it's not quite the Gone with the Wind that like his Showgirls is. That Showgirls is just such a bag of crazy that's what makes it fun,
right?
Like, what's your relationship with Showgirls?
Oh my god, I love Showgirls.
So good. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
shout out to our Showgirls episode.
That's just me all the time. I just love Showgirls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, us too. It's good. It's fun.
And Showgirls
it's
also
fun until it isn't.
And Showgirls also has that extra layer of Joe Esterhaus that really makes the movie like crazy. Mm-hmm. Of just sort of has any of these men actually had a conversation with a woman in their life,
right?
Yeah, but Joe Esterhaus didn't have a hand in writing this one.
Yeah,
but we still have Verhoeven and his interesting choices. Mm-hmm. You know, we talked a little bit about the casting and the like whitewashing of the characters.
Yeah.
But we didn't really talk about, I don't know if it's even really mentioned anywhere why those choices were made. If it was just like, this is an American movie, this is a big budget American movie, so maybe it's set in Argentina, but
clearly you're going to be putting beautiful white actors in them. Yeah.
Then why not just set it in like the United States,
right?
Yeah.
Why even keep that part of it where it's, you know, South America? I mean, maybe it's this thing that it's so far into the future that it's like, who cares that it's South America? I don't know. But again, it's like those questions haven't really been answered,
right?
By Verhoeven.
It's like every character has an ethnic name,
and
then white features,
and then they look like
right.
Which I get to make this material work for its audience. Maybe you need a very Aryan, good-looking male like Casper Van Dien as your lead.
Yeah,
just to sort of.
I can understand.
Yeah,
I can understand that, but why didn't we sprinkle a little bit of spice anywhere?
Yeah.
I mean, Carl Jenkins could have been a black man.
I'm sure with him like Carl Jenkins. Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's the other thing too. It's like if he would have gone so far as to change the names, change the location, then it would have been would have been worse. Would have been like, now you're really whitewashing it. Like this was set in South America. They had Latin names, and you just completely changed it all. It's like you can't win,
right?
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think we're thinking from the mindset of 2020.
Yeah, true.
Where it's like in 1996 when this movie was being filmed, I don't think anybody really cared.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Studios didn't care.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a discussion that people were having.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were just watching Tammy Adrian George, who plays what's her name? It's
the one black character?
The one black character.
I don't even know what I couldn't tell.
What is her name?
Dejana D? Well, anyways, we were just watching Rowie and Michelle's high school reunion, and do you remember where she's in the movie, Pete?
Wait, hold on. Romeo and Michelle, I mean, that movie doesn't have a lot of black people either.
So it's when Mira Sorvino goes to Singled Out.
I know I'm supposed to wait in that line, but listen, I wouldn't even be here if this weren't like a dating emergency.
Our cutoff is 25. Try VH1.
Oh, okay.
And she's the one that's like, our cutoff age is 25. Try VH1. And I remember watching Romeo and Michelle the other night and just being like, wasn't I just watching a movie with her? And it was Starship Troopers.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't remember that. Actually, when we were watching Romeo and Michelle, I was looking down at that point. So I looked up and I was like, "Oh, I just missed the singled out scene." Okay, so yeah, and she's the one that accidentally shot the dude in the face and got kicked out.
Right, yeah. And that seems to be my problem. That seems to be my only problem with Paul films is, in all of his films, the people of color seem to have really. I mean, everybody in his films have tragic stories. Don't get me wrong, but the people of color seem to have really, really bad tragic stories, and then once he's done with them, he's done with them.
Yeah. And Molly is such, and that actress in Showgirls as Molly is so good.
So good.
But that ending of that character is so fucking tragic.
Yeah. And so I want to know, and I mean, Paul's made movies in a time when you know, racial equality is a thing in the entertainment business, and still it really hasn't changed. And maybe that just has to do with where he's from, and
it could be because, you know, he is very, very European.
Yeah,
you know, and maybe
I'm sure that there aren't a lot of people who look like me.
No,
where he is from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially not only that, it's also the like American experience. You know, like the black American experience is completely different than like a black European person.
Right.
Like there are black people in Germany and Amsterdam and all that, but it's like it's very it's a weird argument, or not argument, but it's just a weird like area for, especially for somebody who is not American, to be like, well, I don't, you know, maybe just doesn't get it.
It's one of those things that,
but yeah,
I want him to have an opportunity to make a movie of this size now to see what some of his choices making a movie now would be.
I think it'd be the same,
probably,
but with a bigger budget.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Ryan Murphy could be. It seems like he's probably the next Paul.
Definitely. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely get strong gay characters if Ryan Murphy was directing Starship Troopers.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love to see what that would look like.
And people of color. Yeah, actually, it'd be really. Actually, I just read an article that someone did an interview with Casper, and he said that he would really like to do a reboot where Old Man Rico is there, but to have Robert Rodriguez involved.
Okay.
And that's a very interesting.
Sure.
Like he thinks that's the man to handle the job, and I would agree.
And Robert Rodriguez, he just worked with him on Alita.
He could handle
see that
kind of a movie,
because I think that there's been talk of a reboot of this.
Yes,
but just nothing's ever become of it.
Right. And I think that's probably because Paul strongly opposes it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the last few sequels were fairly recent.
Yeah, they're fairly recent.
10 years, I would say. So they were still making them. I would love that for Casper Van Dien.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
I mean, it's not like he's hard up for work.
No, he's still out there making things. Man, there are so many. Traitor of Mars. Well, it looks like there's quite a few animated ones at this point. Invasion, Traitor of Mars.
I just saw a trailer for a Starship Troopers game that's getting ready to come out.
Really?
What platform?
Interesting.
Actually, I think it might have just been a mobile game.
Okay.
That sounds familiar. That sounds really familiar. I'll have to get that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Starship Troopers, it's eye candy for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely nothing like the experience of being a young kid and seeing scenes like the co-ed shower scene. Especially if you were like watching it with like cousins or siblings and you're just like, oh my God.
That's so funny.
There is a naked guy.
But there are
screen.
Very artfully placed shower drains and poles.
Yeah.
It's very Austin Powers, the way everybody's just kind of walking around and just things are just ever so hidden.
Right. or like Grey's Anatomy when anybody gets pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously.
Let's hide the belly.
Yep. But yeah, that is something that has stayed with.
It was definitely a moment for all of us when we first watched this movie.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I wanted to do it on this show.
Because you know what? Also, Dina Meyer, gorgeous, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Very much so.
I was like,
She is rocking some 90s hair, that curly, crispy, those crispy curls.
And she still has them.
Still rocks that's just her hair. Right. Like, she just has curly hair. I feel like I don't even know if I've ever seen her with straight hair. I think her IMDb profile picture, her hair is straight. It's
interesting.
Like, why you got to be doing that?
Right.
Yeah.
Show your real self. But yeah, she's great. I feel like the people in it are just, they're people that you know their face. Like, it's got a huge cast.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have, like, super duper big name stars. Like, we're name dropping all these people because, like, we're talking about this movie. But I feel like for the most part, it's filled with these people that you're like, oh, I know that guy from whatever, XYZ. But it has a big cast of people that are in lots of things. And everybody's just, like, they're showing up, they're doing the work, and it's, like, it's really fun.
What had Casper done up until that point? Like, what was his big... Before Starship Troopers, what would we say?
Was he on any teen soaps like 90210 or anything?
I think he did.
Or soap operas, period, right?
Yeah, he does look like he has a soap opera
face.
He has a soap face.
I read when I was doing some research today that he had done at least an episode of 90210. There's a photo of him with Tori Spelling.
Oh, interesting.
It looks like right around the time when Donna and Kelly lived in the apartment at the beach.
Sure.
So I think it's like a college episode. And this is 2 years before Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow came out in 99.
He was in 7 episodes of Beverly Hills now, too.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, he did like Dr. Quinn, Life Goes On, Silk Stockings. I bet that he was one of Kelly's boyfriends on Married with Children.
For sure.
A TV movie called PCH with him and Denise Richards. So
look at that.
He had already worked with our Saint Denise.
Oh, Denise.
Yeah, so like no big movies before Starship Troopers, though.
That's cool. I mean, that's cool that this kind of was his first big thing. Look, when you go to the IMDb, listener, do yourself a favor and go to the IMDb for this movie because Denise Richards' IMDb photo is...
Oh, I need to take a look at it.
So beautiful. Her face is just like...
Oh, yeah. That face has been
it's just
beat for the gods.
Yeah. Her hair is beautiful. She's tanned like... You wouldn't believe.
This was she was doing press for one of the Medea movies.
Okay.
She was doing press
for
my Medea's Witness Protection.
I forgot she did a Medea movie with Eugene Levy.
I like that Tyler Perry did Denise a solid.
He did her solid.
Do you want to be in one of my Medea movies?
And Eugene Levy is in it too?
Yes.
That's funny.
He plays her husband.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You know,
I can't.
I always like interviews with Denise because she seems very in on her range as an actress. That she knows that like she's not going to be winning Oscars, and she I think appreciates whenever people come up to her, probably for this movie. Drop Dead Gorgeous.
She loves talking about Starship Troopers.
Oh, cool.
Like Valentine.
I love that.
I think that
Valentine.
she very much appreciates her genre following.
I mean, you saw
her
on 30 Rock.
Yeah.
Her character on 30 Rock was that she's like a dumb person.
Yeah.
And it was funny.
Yeah.
I played as I forgot what she says about her character.
I played an
psychiatrist.
She's like a rocket scientist in that Bond movie.
I think she says a rocket psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Something like that. Something stupid, but it's very cute.
We'll miss her
I want to talk to Denise Richards about Starship Troopers and Valentine.
She would love it.
Because I love both those movies.
And Valentine's so good. I just recently watched it, actually.
He bought it.
I grew up on that shit. I love Valentine. We'll eventually do Valentine on the show. We'll swing back to it when we get to our next Valentine's Day.
I saw Valentine in the theater, and it was amazing.
An experience.
It was an experience.
We'll miss our Saint Denise on Real Housewives Beverly Hills, which we just found out that you work on Real Housewives.
Yes.
I
Or is
love
it a
that.
secret?
I'm an associate producer. Yeah. I got to work with Denise for 2 years, and when I tell you, I mean, obviously I love Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
So when I found out Denise was coming on the show, I was excited, and it was just like I had to find my perfect opportunity in order to have a conversation with her about it. It was just like I just was like, Miss Denise. Yeah, I was like, Miss Denise, I just want to let you know that Starship Troopers really means a lot to me. And she's like, I loved making that movie. I was like, okay, well, we can have a conversation about it now.
That's amazing. I love that. That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna miss her on the next season, but the next season looks hella good.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are in for a treat, I'm telling you.
Oh my goodness, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm very excited for the world to see it because I spent an entire year filming this show, you know, losing my mind, waking up early, you know, getting phone calls at 1 o'clock in the morning. Tom Girardi's in the hospital. Get there. Getting phone calls saying
Kyle has COVID.
Yeah, literally. It's getting a phone call.
I remember when that story broke.
Getting a phone call saying, like, I need you to come into work in the next 2 hours. Why? Because you need to get tested. Why? Because Kyle, Dorit, and Kathy all have COVID.
My God.
It's like, oh.
Oh, goodness. Well, we're going to miss St. Denise on Housewives.
Absolutely.
Bravo.
But hey, go to get the Bravo app and you can watch old episodes with Denise.
Really good seasons.
Yeah. Her run on the show was really good. And go rent Valentine as well.
Exactly.
So now you just need to watch Beverly Hills.
Yes.
Starship Troopers. And Valentine.
And Alita.
And Drop Dead Gorgeous.
And Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Oh, of course.
Well, if you haven't seen Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Yeah, I think our listeners have already they're familiar with that one. Mm-hmm. Right. But yeah, I mean, hey, Jake Busey's got a handful of movies out there. He's working.
Yeah. Honestly, they all a large majority of them have been working. They've been working.
They've had good careers. Like, none of these actors, I mean, no one from this cast really became a huge movie star.
Right.
They're just sort of steadily working actors.
Well, MPH, oddly enough, is probably you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well,
we were talking about when we were rewatching this a couple of days ago that it was a novelty to have him on because it was, where's he been?
Right.
But now it's like kids now don't kind of even know that, like, he had this career as a child.
Right.
Kind of went into obscurity for a while and then had a huge comeback, you know, with How I Met Your Mother.
I feel like probably in the past year and a half, he's kind of cooled off a little just because he's raising children.
Yeah, what's the last thing? Gone Girl?
Well, probably.
He's in a big movie coming up. What is it?
But I mean, he's still pretty much like hovering around the A-list, you know.
Absolutely. I mean,
he's hosted the Oscars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's hosted everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was on It's a Sin, Matrix 4.
Oh, man.
That's what he's going to be in.
Oh, Lordy. Well, I mean, I think we got to wrap it up.
We got to wrap this up. But tune into the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills because our guest here worked really hard on it.
I did.
Yep.
Work. But I mean, in the meantime, go watch Starship Troopers. Go find it if you haven't already. We own it on 4K.
Yeah.
Wasn't that
The
expensive?
transfer looks beautiful.
Yeah, I saw it on your guys' TV.
It's a great transfer. But thank you for coming on. This was so much fun.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do it another time. Pick another movie and we'll pencil you in.
Absolutely.
Yes. But until then, I think it is time to sign off. So we shall see you next week. Bye, friend. And thank you so much for listening to another episode, everybody. Starship Troopers.
Love this movie. It was fun to talk about.
So much fun with our new friend, Matthew. Well, it's that time again. We've got some fun shout-outs. We got another 5-star review that Scott is going to read for you today. So, Scott, why don't you take it away?
Our new review from a listener in Australia from Down Under.
So cool.
Entitled Great Pod. Just came across this pod, and it's introduced me to so many good movies that I have missed out on. The hosts are funny and gay. Chook us, boys.
That's so cool.
From listener Evan SDGW.
Awesome.
So, Chookus. We did have to look this up online.
So when you look up Chookus, if you just Google Aussie slang, it comes up as... Chookus is a uniquely Australian expression which dancers and performers say to one another backstage, all right, just as a performance is about to begin. It loosely translates as break a leg or good luck, but the origins of the word are rarely thought about as it has passed into everyday language.
I like that.
I love that. Aussie slang. We love Aussie slang. We love Australians and our Aussie listeners to the south. Yeah, that's right, South Pole.
around where Porpoise Spit is.
Yeah, so we love our listeners in Porpoise Spit. We also love our listeners at Fountain Gate, the Fountain Gate Plaza. Yes, definitely. And we will be watching Drag Race Down Under.
Oh, I think it's out next week.
That's
so excited for it. It looks like a fun cast.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for our brand new 5-star rating.
Yay.
Review. We also have some patrons that we want to say hi to.
Yay, patron.
We love our
shout-outs.
Patreon followers and our Patreon shout-outs. We said hello to our brand new awesome patrons, Heather and Muffy.
Yay.
Last week, Heather and Muffy, we love you. Thank you so much. And we also love our other tried and true patrons, Paul, Jamie, Drew, Jimmy, Genevieve, Dawn, Josh, Emily, Aaron, Melinda, Jim, Jessica, John, Nick, Christine, and Rufino.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being a friend, everybody. We love our patrons. If you want to check out our Patreon, we've got lots of stuff heading over there. It's www.patreon.com/moviesthatmadeusgay. Tons of additional bonus exclusive content. We've got additional movie commentaries that we do once a month. We just dropped a couple of those. We've got a newsletter that comes out once a month. And for any of our patrons at any level, we'll send you a postcard. Handwritten. Yay. Lots of fun. We're also going to do a exclusive commentary track that was voted on Instagram for our 100th episode celebration. We're going to make that available to everybody, so not just our patrons. It will be on our Patreon website, but it will be open to the public, so any of you listeners can go ahead over to patreon.com/moviesthatmadeusgay and listen to our special commentary track for 10 Things I Hate About You. That was our Instagram poll, and that's the movie that won. So head over there. It's during our 100th episode celebration that will be coming up very soon. It's kind of going to coincide with our 2-year.
Yeah, pretty much. We started this podcast mid-May.
Yeah, mid-May of 2019. So how about that?
Yeah.
So check out our Patreon for lots of fun stuff. We'd also love it if you would rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts.
Give us 5 stars.
Give us 5 stars and write us a good review just like the one that we just read. We'll read it aloud next time. Let's see, we've got social media. We are on Instagram and Facebook at Movies That Made Us Gay.
And on Twitter at MTMUGPod.
Yes, indeed. My name is Pete. I am on Instagram and Twitter at Peter Lasagna, and I am on Letterboxd at Peterific.
I'm Oscar Scott on Twitter, Scott Youngballer on Instagram, and just Scott Youngbauer on Letterboxd. See what I'm watching.
Yes, indeed. Follow us there, too. Thanks for listening once again, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.